says, seems to me there was a tea party in Boston that was illegal, too.
I have directed Secretary Connally to suspend temporarily the convertibility of the dollar into gold.
We shall seek to establish and maintain a dollar which will not change its purchasing and debt-paying power during the succeeding generation.
As anguished shrieks rose up from the floor of the New York Stock Exchange.
Government credit and government currency are really one and the same thing. A reserve of gold and a small reserve of silver.
So, and I said, well, what if it does happen? And he says, well, price will solve everything. I said, thanks, give me the gold. You know?
Why do central banks hold it? Well, it's a form of reserves. So why don't they hold diamonds? Well, it's tradition, long-term tradition.
Well, some people still think it's money.
Good afternoon, good evening. Welcome back to the Junius Maltby Channel for another episode of the extemporaneous ramblings of a madman, broadcasting live and unscripted. My fellow stackaholics, those who are here ready to stack-celerate, precious metals enthusiasts, gold and silver enjoyers, welcome. Glad you're here. Let me get this thing all situated here. As many of you know, well, first I gotta say good afternoon to some of the channel members. There's a few of you here already. Look at this. This was I know, short notice. I didn't really give you a lot of time. I think I set this live up 5 minutes ago. I was like, I'm gonna do a live on that. I had this idea the other day, and I just forgot about it. I got busy. I was doing other things. So you didn't have a lot of time. That's why there's only like 10 of you here. So I'll say good afternoon. I got Abidabai is in here. Abitibi. I can never pronounce your name. I'm sorry, my friend. There's just too many double letters. But it's great. It's great. Whatever works. Crusty White Bread. I can say that. I can read that pretty well. Good to see you. A couple of the channel members. A number 1 Savage, Richard King, Bill Spencer's in the house, Unknown Soldier 41. All right, good. You guys are early, on time. You guys had it on ready to go. I got to get this gun off my hip because it's just killing me. You know this happens. Every time I lean on it, it just digs in. So I got to take it off. Anyways, okay, the gun is on the table, ready to go. Can't talk about that too loud. YouTube will freak out. Like, you know, they'll do what they do. Now I got to sing it like Kurt Cobain. No, I don't have a gun. No, I don't have a gun. There you go. Just like the lyrics. Many of you are aware that I really enjoy and am fascinated by shipwreck silver. Doesn't matter how it sank. Hurricane, storm, pirates, torpedoes. It doesn't matter. If a ship goes down, I'm pretty into it. I don't know what it is. It's the haunting nature of the idea. The fact that the coins or the metal itself is tied to a tragedy. I think it's a way for me anyways, as an enjoyer of history. It helps me kind of honor the event, remember the event, think about it. I mean, I'm sure the people that were involved many times, that suffered the fate of a ship going into the dark night and disappearing beneath the waves, they would like that at some point people remembered them, you know? I mean, if anything else, that's what people want to be remembered. I want to believe that anyway. I think so. Hey, thank you, Robert Talbot, for the super chat. I see that, my friend. That's not the only reason. I mean, a lot of times, and we'll get to the story here, I've got precious metals from all different eras, you know, as far as what would be termed as a shipwreck metal, silver, whether coins or bars. And, you know, early on as a collector of those types of things, but also a stacker. I don't even like using that word. You know, I'm a gold hawk, a silver hawk, precious metals enthusiast, sound money advocate. There you go. I think they help tell the story. It also has always showed me the lesson, the staying power of metals, the roles precious metals played throughout history. You know, sometimes these are pretty historic events surrounding the episode that we're discussing. And they're a conversation piece. I've got the, one of you mentioned earlier, before I could even get to it, the Garsopa rounds. Who was that? Earlier in the chat, looks like Blue Diamond Gem. Yeah, he's or he or she, Blue Diamond Gem. That's the name there. Says they have 100 rounds of the Garsopa. And I don't have that many of those. I have, I think, two of the quarter-ounce rounds. They're the British, the UK struck them. Do you guys remember that? Years ago, I did videos on these years ago, and I'm trying to remember this. They were quarter-ouncers. They've got the quarter-ounce. They got the edge lettering. It says SS Gersopa. Because it was British silver, I have a whole episode on this. You can look it up and watch it. But I've also got the 10-ounce bar, a Gersopa bar, that was poured from, and that's when they recover the silver, pour it, and like restrike it and such. Because a lot of times when the silver comes out of the ocean, especially if it's in these wrecks, you'll see some photos of the, if I'm pronouncing it properly, Tilawa. You'll see some photos of the bars that they recovered from this wreck. I also have one from I think it's the SS Johnson. Is that it? It was payroll. Well, it was payroll. It was U.S. struck silver. I believe they were the size of a $50. They were struck at the Philadelphia Mint. It was the SS something Johnson. And it was a payment for oil. It was heading to the Saudis. So they were stamped with like the Rial and the Saudi symbols on it. There was like some crossed Arabic swords, Arabic lettering. And what these were payments to the Saudis for oil during World War II, if that makes sense, right? It was sunk by a German U-boat. That's a great conversation piece. I've got that coin. It's over in one of my... somewhere. I have it. I know that. I did a video on that too. And what's fascinating is it's the actual coins still. Like they recovered these silver coins from the depths of Davy Jones's locker, and I think it's one of the deepest recoveries ever. It's very deep wreck. The coins are in pretty good shape. I remember sharing it on the channel years ago, and the only place I had ever really found them, I think, was on eBay. They came with a nice little envelope with that history and everything. So, but let's get to today's wreck. Let's talk about the Tilawa. I got to be honest, I didn't know a whole lot about this wreck. I guess it's the forgotten tragedy. That's what they refer to it as online. I do recall the discovery, or the admission of the discovery, and you'll understand why I worded it that way in a few minutes if we can read through this tale. Because it sounds like the treasure of this ship, the sunken silver, was discovered, and then the people who discovered it didn't really tell anybody. They just kind of like went and got it. Eventually that was found out, and it went to the courts, because as you know, whenever a treasure ship is found, whenever gold and silver is located, it seems like people come out of the woodwork. It's like cousins you never heard of. Countries that you never thought would have had gold or silver somehow. They have their name on the title of the boat, the lease, whatever. They were the owners. They were the investors. Or there's always these names. The insurance company that years ago paid out on the loss of this ship. Now they're great grandchild of a company that somehow was passed on through corporate ownership, has ties and demands metal or wealth, money, payback. Hey, put the money here. It's amazing how they come out of the woodwork. And I watched an incredible documentary recently on the guy that he found the SS Central America and all that gold. And man, that wreck, just the discovery of it, what happened to his life. Did you guys see that? It's just crazy. They went crazy. And he was tied up in courts for 20-something years. Devastating. After all that work. And he was kind of a genius. So yeah, lawyers, they get into it. Lawyers and courts and judges and insurance companies, and governments. But there's a couple links I have pulled up, and then we'll get to the silver raid here. This is going to be a silver raid because I waited. I had to wait. I didn't want you guys to buy it all. No, I actually bought this stuff and then thought about it after the fact. This would be a great video. I will do another one when the metal arrives. I'll share with you what I got here in a moment. And then, but today, you guys can go ahead and raid this site. I've got it pulled up. If you want to raid it while I'm talking, you can go ahead and do that. I'll put the link in the chat multiple times. So don't worry about that. You're not going to lose it. Here we go. This is how raids begin. We haven't done a raid in a long time. You know what? These people they don't know who I am. JM Bullion does not know who I am. They don't have a clue. As a matter of fact, I think I've even messaged them in the past about getting a coin made. and I never heard back. But if you want, you could leave in the comments, hey, this is a Junius Maltby Channel raid. I don't know. They're not going to do anything. But they don't know I'm here. They didn't send me. This isn't, there's no commissions here. I'm just a little humble YouTube channel that's shadow banned and who likes to share my autistic interests with the world. And this happens to be one of them, shipwreck silver. So I came upon this ad. This is, I think, the one that perked the memory. I was looking at metals. I ended up on J.M. Bullion's site, and I saw this little banner that said Tilawa shipwreck silver. I'm like, what? Wait a second. Is there a shipwreck I don't know about? What is this? What is this? What is this, Junius? What are you talking about? What are you doing? What do you know? What do you mean? Junius, what is this? Well, I'll tell you what it is. I'd never heard of this wreck. And as I read through it, I kind of went into the links, and there's a little information on J.M. Bullion's site down here. And it started reminding me that, that's right, wait a second. I remember an article on this, or it had been discovered. There's probably other YouTube videos on this. I haven't seen one yet. I haven't looked for them. But then again, I haven't really looked on up. But it wasn't that long ago that this all unfolded. I mean, it was World War II and it was sunk, but the discovery, the court cases, the availability of this silver really is quite recent. As a matter of fact, I believe it might have only come available this year in May, so not that long ago. But it had all slipped my mind. I didn't remember the circumstances surrounding it. I just think I remember it being a ship in the war. And you couldn't get, I didn't see any silver available for it back then. I remember there was the articles, but I didn't really even go looking, I don't believe. I don't even think I ever looked up, hey, I wonder if you can get silver from that wreck. It just didn't cross my mind. But here it is, and now it's obviously the bars were melted down. There's going to be some bars you'll see as we go through the articles. And they made plankets and bars here, and they've restruck them. But it's essentially, it's the same silver. The custody is the same. It's the same atomic particles. It's the same silver that was in that ship has been just melted down and restruck. Because when you get it out of the ocean, it looks like that. Just big black. I think these look like 1,000-ounce or 1,000+ ounce bars. They're pretty big. But there was 60 tons of silver on this ship. It got tied up, yes, in the courts. We'll get to that. And in May 2024 is when it became essentially legal. So it hasn't been available for that long. So you've got a lot of choices in there. You've got the one. I bought one of this die pattern, 1 ounce, I believe. Or a couple of these. I bought a couple, like 2 of these or 2 of these, and then a couple of 1/4 ounces. I'll show you that are below. But they've got 2 different, looks like die patterns. I'll just show them to you real quick. Then we'll get into the history. You guys are here for silver. Everyone wants the silver. I know you guys want coins. But they've got the ship on this one side. It says SS Tilawa. It's got the ship there, and then the other side, it looks like has the route that it was on. An interesting little world map with some countries stamped onto it. Looks like the destination of the ship is right there. You can see it on the screen. Another image of the ship cutting through the water. Pretty detailed, it looks like. Not bad for a bullion round. I think Silvertown is striking these, if I'm not mistaken. So there's that one there, and then there's actually more of an action or like a war scene. If you look at this one, you've got the ship steaming along, and then it looks like you've got a couple of Japanese Zeros flying above it. We'll get to that in a moment. On the other side, it's got the same image of the ship cutting through the water with the, again, the route, Bombay to Durban. So there's that. And then there's also some 1/4 ounces. And I remember I did buy, I believe, because for, 1/4 ounces, this is not a bad, I mean, for having a smaller round, as you all know, premiums kind of go up as you're, and I don't have to explain the whole seigniorage fees and charges to you guys, right? Again, everyone talks about spot. I had to give someone a speech the other day on this. Well, I want to buy it for spot. Then go buy a 1,000-ounce bar, dude. That's how you do that. Usually maybe $1 over. Even those you can't get for spot. There's a fee. There's always a fee. Everyone's got something. So as far as spot is concerned, the premium on these is not that bad. I mean, what is silver today? $32, call it? 32 and something? 3 something over on these. They're special round. I think there's some historical significance. In my opinion, there's a historic premium to these because there's only so much silver that will have this stamp and come from these, and then they're out. Just like the Garsopa. The Garsopa silver has gone up in value. I'm not saying that it's like investment worthy. Like, oh, I'm going to buy a bunch of shipwreck silver, and that's going to make me money. No, I'll explain it to you in a second here. Give me a moment. Pump the brakes, kid. Hey, Rolf Steiner, thank you for the super chat. He goes, August 5th, 1971, France sent a battleship to take home all the French gold from the New York Fed vaults. Was this a great crime against the U.S. bankers? Yeah, I'm sure they probably cried out in pain when France tried to take their gold back. Stacking gold and silver could make you unpatriotic. I'm already there, my friend. I'm already there. But let's get back to the story. Let's get on it. Thank you. That's actually, I like, I could go off on that, Rolf, but I won't right now. Here we go. So there's these quarter ounce rounds that are $11 right now, currently $11.05. That's not bad. For a quarter ounce of silver, they even got some half ouncers down here. You know, I didn't used to like fractional silver as much, but I've heard some pretty good arguments for it. And you know, when silver's a lot more valuable, having some fractionals, quarters and halves, is not a bad idea. You know, if silver was $100 an ounce, it's not outside of the realm of possibility. A quarter ounce coin like that would be worth $25. That's just, again, spot, but it'd be worth more than that, probably $35. Half ouncers, you know, if you're talking $100 silver, you know, that's a $50 metal value in just that one little package there. So, and then having fractional silvers does have there's a good point to it. And I never really embraced it, you know, back when silver was $10. It just didn't bother me. I don't know. I just figured I'd buy a full ounce, you know, premiums. But as time goes on, I think I've evolved in my outlook on that. I used to have like Merc dimes. That was kind of like my idea for fractionals. I would just have constitutional silver, you know, so quarters, half dollars, some dimes, and it made sense there. I never went out and bought like bullion fractionals in silver, but these are great. I think having some fractional pure silver is nothing wrong with it. And so I did get I think I got an ounce of each of the quarters. I bought like 4 of these ones and then 4 of this one. It's the same, 2 different dies again, the same ones that you see on the 1 ouncers. And then they've got a bar, 1 ounce bar, and a 10 ounce bar. I did not get the 10 ounce bar. I'll tell you right now, I did not get it yet, but I think I'd like to. I think I will. I think it's got the big ship on there, plus a hefty bar from a shipwreck. I got the 10 ounce Garsopa. I might as well get a Tilawa, if I'm pronouncing that properly. All right, so there it is. I put the link. I'll do it again for you. If you're interested in any of these, here's the 10 ounce bar. I'll put it in the chat right now. But let me know if you guys get some. Let me know. Throw it down in the chat, and then put in the, you know, you can always do little comments for your order. Let them know this was a Junius raid. But again, they're not going to do anything about it. It'd be cool. I don't know. It'd be interesting to see if we can make some damage. Maybe we can get J.M. Bullion to mint the coin. Send him a message. Hey, this is a Junius Maltby raid. P.S. Let him mail you the dies to make his coin. I was thinking, what if we did the channel coin in a 2 ounce? How cool would it be if they had some silver and we could get silver set aside? And I'm not saying this ship, but it'd be cool to get shipwreck silver of some kind set aside and have struck with... It'd be neat. I don't know, just because we love shipwreck silver. But I wouldn't want to, you know, I don't want to, that's actually not a good idea. Because, you know what, I don't want to take away from these people that suffered it. You know, that having the ship itself, but on there in their memory. But I wouldn't protest ever having like a few drops of shipwreck silver put into the mix for the channel coins one day. Just because, again, it's important to me. Even if you could take some of the Alcazador ones and just purify them and put them in there. Whatever. The ones that are just slab, you can't see any images on them. They're just like, it's basically set for melt is the best case for those. Because sometimes silver does rot and decompose when it's under the ocean. You've seen coins from shipwrecks that unrecognizable. I mean, they're just like little gray slugs of worn out material. Whereas gold, take a look at gold. I mean, it's incredible the condition you can see gold in when it comes out of the ocean. I mean, almost untouched at times. But let's get to this page here. This was actually a really moving one that I saw, and this is the forgotten tragedy dedicated to the missing and surviving victims of the SS Tilawa tragedy. You've got this is page here at actually some really good photographs and imagery of the actual ship and the history here. So on November 20th, 1942, at 5 p.m., the SS Tilawa set sail for the continent of Africa. She departed from Ballard Pier, Mumbai, with 222 crew members, 732 passengers, and 4 gunners. There were 9 lifeboats, over 6,000 tons of cargo, including 60 tons of silver bullion. 60 tons of silver bullion. In the middle of the Indian Ocean, 930 miles northeast of Seychelles, on November 23rd, the Japanese Imperial Navy fired 2 torpedoes and sunk Tilawa. 2 torpedoes, all it took. HMS Birmingham and SS Carthage rescued 678 people. Sadly, 280 people perished. So 678 made it out of the situation alive. I mean, it must have been a horrific, traumatizing night for them. I can't imagine. I can't imagine being on a ship in the Indian Ocean, hit by torpedoes in the 1940s, and watching it sink. Thinking of whether or not you're going to be rescued, how long you're going to be out there. I mean, luckily, the water, I would imagine, was probably pretty warm. I'd be interested to know what the temperature was. I would imagine. I mean, just based on the latitude of where it is, probably what you think, 70, 80 degrees. That is my guess. Is there a way to look that up? The coordinates of where it sank and how warm the water was? I don't know. Maybe we'll see it in the wiki link there. But it was definitely warmer than, I guess, like where the Titanic went down. The water was like 28 degrees Fahrenheit. It's because of the salinity of it. And the salt in the water made it actually colder, I believe, than when it would be. Obviously 32 degrees, water freezes, right? I don't think a lot of people understand that there's times where the salt water parts of the ocean, where it's really cold, there's times to go below that 32 degree mark, just like when you make ice cream. Put the ice in the water and the salt in it. Anyways, our quest, I'm just saying this has to be where these people went in. That was probably the biggest, one of the biggest saving graces was the temperature of the water, I would imagine. Let's see here. Follow our quest to answer many burning questions, such as why did the Japanese attack the passenger cargo liner? It is believed this was the only passenger cargo liner attacked in the Indian Ocean during the Second World War. Because it would be the first time, and both sides do it, but the Allies had shipped munitions or troops or used passenger airlines to ship something of contraband or something that would be viewed as a war-type material. And if intelligence got out and they knew there was silver on the ship, that would be an economic transaction. And who knows what information the Japanese had on that. But you could argue that's a wartime target for that reason also. And I guess question number 2 is, did the Japanese know about the precious cargo on board? I don't know. I mean, that's a good question. If they had the intelligence to do that, I don't know. Did they just see a ship flying, British colors or whatever? I don't know. And yeah, was the SS Tilawa a military threat? Did it contribute to the war effort? Why did the British and Indian government authorize a merchant ship to carry passengers? Why did SS Tilawa not have an escort or have its route patrolled for enemy attack? What happened between the first and second torpedo? A lot of questions on here. Could more lives have been saved? I'll let you guys read those. Highlights of the 81st anniversary. So here's some photographs, it looks like. Are these survivors here? Looks like it. Looks like those probably some survivors that were on the ship. Doesn't tell you anything about the photographs. There's no nothing to read. You're seeing those, but it looks like a bunch of older people and then some younger people that would not have been old enough to be on these boats back then. But all right, let's keep going. Is there any? So it looks like they're having a big get together. like an anniversary celebration or remembrance. Here's some pictures of the silver bars. Look at the size. Yeah, 1,133 ounces there. So these are like basically Comex size bars. Looks like they're 3.9 fine, 999.3. So it was pretty fine silver. Large, very big bars. On September 18th, 2024 was our first look at photographs showing one of the salvaged 2,364 Wow, 2,364 bars, 60 tons of silver bullion of the ill-fated SS Tilawa. Here you can secure a full-size bar struck in 1,128.8 ounces of highly pure 99.9% fine silver. That's more than 70 pounds of high-grade silver bullion. So you can actually buy the bars. Let's check out some of the pictures. Silver bars. There's a bunch of pictures there. Can you guys see those? Okay, so on September 18th, 2024, that was just recently, was our first look at photographs showing one of the salvage bars. I mean, so this, again, this is a pretty recent, some of this pretty recent finding here. Here you can see a full-size bar struck in 1,128.8 ounces, 70 pounds. I wonder if they're selling those bars, though, if you can buy the full bars from anybody. The mission. In 2014, the wreck was discovered by Deep Ocean Search Limited with their survey vessel, John Lethbridge. In 2017, salvage operation financed by Argentum Exploration Limited and managed by Deep Ocean Search Limited was undertaken. The silver bars were eventually found in one of the opium rooms. Opium rooms. The search. DOS went to look for the wreck of Tilawa in 2014. The search site was some 800 miles from land, and was expected that the seafloor in the area would be difficult. In fact, it was chaotic, with large rocky outcrops interspersed with abyssal plain. An abyssal plain. I've never even heard that term before. That's pretty interesting. I like that. With abyssal plain. The water depth was in excess of 4,000 meters. Okay. Spotted by Mackie X. Within 3 days from the start of the search, a target was found, an intact wreck of approximately the correct dimensions. Confirming the find, the sonar target was clearly a wreck and was quickly located by our Comanche ROV. It was found to be lying on her port side and most unusually at an angle of approximately 45 degrees due to the rocky ledge she landed on. First images seen corresponded to drawings and photographs. Now, off to the bows to see if a name could be seen. The recovery operation. DOS undertook the salvage operation in 2017 from the vessel Seabed Worker. Finding the cargo, there were two locations in the ship which were of immediate interest and which would be relatively easy to access as possible storage sites. These were the mailroom and the specie room. Both were empty. Given the great daily expense associated with keeping a large ship such as the Seabed Worker at sea, with the additional costs of marine and technical crews, fuel, etc., the next steps to try to locate the cargo had to be carefully weighed. After a detailed review of the many other spaces within this large ship into which the bullion could possibly have been stored, DOS management decided to open up a possible area located deep within the wreck, the opium rooms. I don't know. It's very curious why they call it that. I mean, obviously the name is opium, so I'm wondering if they were hauling that or if they did, if they used to. It's just, there's questions that deserve answers with that. Like, you don't just say opium room. Hey, go to the opium room. I mean, what? Can you give me some context here? The salvage team began the painstaking job of cutting through the hull plates inclined at 45 degrees and then working their way systematically down through the various decks to get to this specific small area in the center of the ship. This is crazy. The first room was empty, then into the second. At first, all that could be seen was a jumble of jute sacks. But eventually, after some digging, metallic objects came into sight lying in the bottom and pressing against the lower bulkhead of the room. On closer inspection, silver bars, a cascade of them. The silver could now be recovered by the ROVs bar by bar, all 2,364. Wow. So there's this little robot. There's the ship down there. Is that like the radar? That's a sonar image, I guess. 3-dimensional sonar image. There's the little ship with or the robot with claws. I can't imagine how they cut this thing. Oh, look at this. They actually have a video of it. Let's check it out. There's no sound, of course, so I guess I don't even need to put the sound on. But you can see the arm digging and grabbing bars. Check that out. Obviously, it's quiet because it's deep under the ocean. I checked. There's no sound. None that I could get anyway. So you can see some big metal bars down there. Those huge. They had to do this 2000. It's like that game when you're a kid leaving the grocery store full of stuffed animals. The claw. The claw. Ooh, the claw. Beware. He will decide who comes and who goes. You remember the claw from Toy Story? And then the machines. It's very similar to that, except you're picking up 1,000-ounce silver bars at the bottom of the ocean remotely. So it looks like it's grabbing the bar, swings it around, and it's got like a storage area where it can just drop and dump the bars. Man, how come my high school guidance counselor didn't tell me this was a potential job? Like, they never sit you down and be like, well, would you like to go deep ocean treasure hunting? They never ask you that. They never say, would you like to be operating a crane out in the middle of the ocean picking up 1,000-ounce silver bars, or would you like to be an accountant? What would you like to do? Maybe a physical therapist. No, I wanted to go get the treasure. I want to go get the treasure, dude. How come you don't tell kids about that? If you're a high school guidance counselor, tell the kids about treasure hunting, man. That's where it's at. That's where do something with your life. I can't imagine how awesome it'd be. I should have went treasure hunting. But raid. Are you guys raiding? Throw it down in the chat if you guys pick up any of this Tilawa silver, because I did. I've got some silver rounds. Oh, look, they have grain. Look at that. So if you guys pour, or somebody pours stuff, they are going to mint 1,942 of these like granules of 10th-ounce silver beads. I don't get it. You can get 1/4 ounce or 10th ounce. I don't know. I mean, why not just have a coin made? Graded protective holder, silver grains. I'm sorry, that just doesn't do it for me. Unless you're going to pour a bar, that doesn't do anything for me. I like the little rounds. I've got, so I told you I've got the 1 ounce and that 1/4 ouncer's coming. I'd like to get the bar. That's next for me. So there's a bunch of news articles about it. Again, they found it, right? They got the silver up. Then it went to the Supreme Court. I'm not going to get into all that stuff, but I had to go to these courts because there was a fight over ownership. I believe they had to split it between South Africa and India. I don't know. You can, if you're interested in legal stuff and who fought what and how, go for it. But it did make there was a lot of news about this shipwreck. Hedge funds were involved. And then you had, South Africa, salvage firm loses to South Africa over $43 million treasure. Just tons and tons of headlines. You can see it here. All of this is at Tilawa1942.com. You've got passenger info, survivor accounts up here. Missing passenger list. There's a missing passenger list. So these are people that were never, ever found. Oh my goodness. One son, 5 years, so a 5-year-old. 9-year-old. Master W. Dykes. That's just really sad. I mean, it's actually horrific. I can't imagine little kids and stuff. I mean, this is another lesson to the war. Just pisses me off. You know, we're on the verge of another one. I'm listening to a brutal podcast right now from this time period, actually. The Anti-Humans. And it's on Martyr Made podcast. I posted a link to this in the community wall here on the channel. And I implore you guys to listen to it if you're not fragile. And no offense if you are. Believe me, it's hard. I can only take this podcast in small doses. I don't listen to the whole thing. It's very dark. Rolf, I don't know if you heard me talk about that. I might have, if I even sent you the link, perhaps. But Martyr Made podcast. It's on YouTube. It's on Spotify. The Anti-Humans. Listen to that episode. It's about 3 hours long. It's about what the Soviets did to people in the Soviet bloc countries and the Eastern blocs. And it just, oh my God. It's horrific. It's truly horrific. But it also talks a lot about World War II and some of the tragedies then. Rolf says, wow. Is that like the gold moment in Kelly's Heroes? Yeah. When they find the gold. But yeah, there's some survivor accounts on here. There's a memorial. 81st anniversary. The 80th anniversary was here. Let's see. It looks like they've had some gatherings related to that. Here's the Tilawa photo gallery, I guess, of the ship itself. There it is. You can see it in all of her glory. There's a Japanese submarine similar to the one that sank it. There's the Birmingham. That's one of the ships that came in and rescued. There's another view of the Birmingham. There's the Carthage, the RMS SS Carthage. Oh, what was that? That was a lifeboat from the Tilawa in process of sinking due to overloading. My goodness. Person in white clothing and center of picture is thought to be Captain Robertson. Captain here. The boat is sinking because there's so many people in it. SS Tilawa survivors on board the Birmingham. There's another picture of the Tilawa. My goodness. Oh my goodness. Yeah, little kids went down with. I just see, that's the thing. It's sad. Just horrible. Media. Silver Bars Part 1. Oh, this is all about the Silver Bar ownership. As you can see, there's pictures of the bars on pallets there. Top UK court to weigh the state immunity. Again, documentaries on it, little video clips you can see here. In search of, oh, there's a photo of the ship down there. Is that an actual scoop? Let's see. I wonder if that's an actual image of, I don't know if it's possible. Not as deep as this. Is this another wreck here? It doesn't seem like they would be that deep. Are these? I guess if this is images from that shipwreck. They don't really do a good job explaining it. Must have been. What else we got on here? Passenger. We've got a bunch of passenger info, survivors' accounts. Read a few of these. December 20th, 2022. Bardoli, Gujarat. So these are, a lot of these look like they're Indians, and it's by the name, spelling. Mr. Chotu Kusal, age 98, a survivor of SS Tilawa, is alive. His son, Mr. Pravin Patel, contacted our team today. Mr. Kusal lived in South Africa and Canada for many years, but has decided to spend his remaining years in Bardoli, Gujarat. The sad part is Mr. Kusal was in India during the first ever commemoration of the SS Tilawa. Last month, on November 23rd, 2022, on the 80th anniversary in Mumbai. Sadly, they missed the event. The Tilawa 1942 only knew of Mr. Kusal today. More to come. Survivor accounts provided to Tilawa 1942. Sad. And as told by daughter Runi Mangat, On November 23rd, 1942, my mother and grandfather survived the torpedo attack on the SS Tilawa. Her mother and 3 brothers perished. Oh my goodness. My grandfather was taking his family back to Kenya after visiting family in India. They were sleeping above the cargo hold on wood slats when the first torpedo hit. They fell into the hold, and my grandfather managed to call out and locate my mum. He got her onto a lifeboat and went back to search for the rest of the family, but to no avail. Meanwhile, my mum remembers it being a full moon, and she could see the ship when the second torpedo hit and a huge plume of smoke before it went down. She recalls learning that there were passengers that had managed to get into the lifeboats but were not able to lower them into the water and most likely perished. She was among the survivors that were picked up by the HMS Birmingham and the following evening after being spotted by search planes. Oh, that must have been what they have on the coin then. That's the search planes they're flying over. Search planes. That's okay. I get it now. There were some aircraft on the coins they struck. So it must have been like British Spitfires or something. The ship continued to circle for a couple of days looking for more survivors. My grandfather went down with the ship after the second torpedo hit. He had been holding onto the railing and sank before able to release himself from it and floated to the surface. He managed to get on a life raft. He saw a young girl, perhaps 6 or so, in the water and pulled her onto the raft. They drifted for 2 days. The young girl was hungry, and my grandfather managed to scoop a couple of onions that were floating amongst the wreckage and fed her a slice at a time. Not knowing when they would be rescued, he recalled seeing sharks circling the rafts. They were also rescued by Birmingham and taken back to India. Wow. Oh, man. G-Dub, thanks for the super chat, my friend. Man, we're talking about some dark stuff today, aren't we? The hurricane victims remind me of how the Bolsheviks treated everyday people. Makes me want to be more of a prepper. We are truly on our own. Yeah, I haven't even discussed that much yet. It's tragic. I talked about it a little bit last night. What's coming out of there is horrific. And it just shows you truly are on your own. You need food, water, fuel, all the things you think that you might need in the worst situation. Know the risks around you. Know what your dangers are. Like if you live in a floodplain, if you live in a place that gets lots of snow, think of whatever you might be exposed to, whatever. Have contingency plans. Be prepared, my friends, for everything. And help your neighbors, help others, do good work, love your fellow man. And, when I was hungry, did you feed me? When I was naked, did you clothe me? Remember those words. And help others, do unto others. And just be a beacon of light if you can. That's all we can do as we navigate this horrific hellscape that is this planet that's occupied by tyrants and evildoers and Bolsheviks. Listen to that podcast I told you about. It's crazy. This is sad. I just can't imagine these people that lost their families on these ships. A lot of survivor accounts in here. That was a pretty moving one. I'm not going to take up your time to see all of those, but I encourage you to check it out. So there's a bunch of stuff here. Ship info, what happened, the Wikipedia page. There's the wiki page here. I was going to see, to tell you anything else about how deep it was. We saw that earlier, but I wanted to Discovery. 8,200 feet. So yeah, there's no way divers are down there exposed, right? No way. It was known as the Indian Titanic. That's what they got referred to as. Again, here's the medal. If you guys are wanting to see the whole page of them, I'll take the link again. Yeah, here it is. Shipwreck silver link coming at you. Here we go. if you're interested. Again, this is just, I picked up some of these the other day. I picked up a couple of these 1 ouncers each, and then I picked up some of the 1/4 ouncers down here. Did any of you sound off in the chat? Have any of you ever picked up any Tilawa silver today or before? How much? When? Just curious. Which ones did you guys go for? I'm glad I read through all of that. I'm gonna have to spend more time reading those survivor accounts because again, it's not about the silver on this. There's a lot of, you could draw a lot from this conversation. I mean, just the casualties of war, those lives lost. It's something to consider. But again, every shipwreck has its history. Every shipwreck has its tale, and that's one of the reasons I find myself drawn to it, because I end up thinking about the human connection. Like here I am now holding something. I am connected to this story. It's something tangible, physical, and like the Alcazador coin. That's Mrs. Maltby bought me for my birthday years ago. An 8 real from the Alcazador wreck. Just not only the lives lost on that tragedy there, but which I believe has some mystery surrounding it. Was it involved in a conflict at that night? It's a weird night. In January, it wasn't really hurricane season. What caused it to sink? I did the whole video on that, but was it pirates? Did they take some cannon fire? I don't know. I don't know what happened there, just south of New Orleans in the Gulf of Mexico. But that all hands went down, supposedly, and the economic ramifications that had on imperial Spain, and then subsequently the inheriting of the territories by the French, because Spain was their king, I think was it Charles the Fourth? I forget. I'm not good at keeping track of my monarchs and then the orders they were in. I'm just never good at it. But the Spanish king, essentially, he gets so pissed off because they were using that silver to inject New Orleans with specie, with coin, because the economy was broken. There was a lot of economic turbulence because of fiat currency, paper currency, and they needed specie, coin, silver. So they sent hundreds of thousands of 8 reals, half reals, 1/4 reals, or like the 1 and the 2 reals was what I meant. Essentially what evolved and became the dime, quarter, the half dollar, and the dollar. When America was still issuing silver. So you know what I mean? The half real, or the 4 real, it was the 8, the 4, the 2, and the 1. And I think they might have had a half real in there too that they sent. That very small coin. But that silver was, not arriving and not making it to its destination in New Orleans. They call it the shipwreck that changed the history of the world. It really did. It really did. The France taking on those territories and then turning around with Napoleon and selling them to the United States, the entire Louisiana Purchase, altered the course of human events in this hemisphere. And so that coin not only carries some human life loss and tragedy, but it's a connection to a monumental historical event, and events plural in my opinion. And I think that's the thing. And it can be something like that, or it can just be a coin like the Rooswick or the Hollandia, other shipwrecks that had obviously a loss of wealth that created ramifications in history, and that it draws you into those stories. It draws me into that time period, that what was taking place, at that moment in history. And so it's, in a way, it's like time travel. Honestly, there's so much to shipwreck silver in that regard for me that's fascinating, that I can never hold it without almost glitching out. The moment my hand connects and touches a piece of shipwreck silver, there's like an energy exchange. It's like immediately somehow I'm connected to that event, and you can almost see it, smell it, hear it. You want to research more of it, and you start getting into the stories of people who were there, survivors, victims, stuff like that. It's It's pretty interesting. And you know, as a matter of fact, there's other silver and gold that is in a way connected to historical events that that I find interesting. And one of those it just came to mind. And I remember when these used to circulate on eBay, and I never bought one. I never did. Some of them were damaged even, like they had damage from it. But do you remember, and after 9/11, you remember when Saddam Hussein flew his planes into those buildings, so we had to go into Iraq? Remember that? Saddam and who else did it? The Afghans. Yeah, a bunch of Afghans, right? They were the guys that did that, right? They flew into the buildings. Anyway, they flew into those buildings and then brought them down. There's inside the World Trade Center was a bunch of gold and silver. Yeah, 1.5 ounce gold eagles. I believe there were silver eagles in there as well. Other precious metals represented. I think there was Krugerrands and such. So a lot of that, when it was discovered, as they're sifting through rubble and such, because there was also a lot of vaulted gold, a lot of bars of gold in the World Trade Center down below. I think they snuck those out like the next day. I don't remember. But the rounds that were recovered, a lot of the bullion, has since been slabbed and graded, like, you know, NGC, PCGS, and sold. You can actually buy 9/11 silver and gold, stuff that was in those buildings at the time on the day of, and recovered from the rubble. So again, there's a lot of tragedy, a lot of history. There's a lot recovered metals that you can get into, and then there's even the mysterious hoards, like the Saddle Ridge hoard. You can find various treasures that have been discovered, whether they're shipwrecks or even on land. If they're graded and confirmed from that site, can be interesting and can draw you into a mystery sometimes, or a historical find of something like the Saddle Ridge hoard just alone. You know, it evokes just, you know, for me anyways, a lot of questions, just a lot of interest. You know, who buried it, why, where, when, like, how were these coins in such pristine condition? Was it a bank robbery? Was it a heist? Was it a mint job? I mean, like, how did this happen? Who did it? What's the story? Was the bucket hanging from the tree really an indicator that had grown in? Was, you know, like, where did the people go? How do you forget that? How do you lose that amount of gold and just forget where it is? You know, so did somebody die and not tell anybody? It's just crazy, right? I just find it, again, that's the thing. Doesn't matter. All of these, the lasting effect that metals have, you know, being that gold and silver last forever and throughout time and history and throughout tragedy and throughout war, and that they're used in war for procuring goods, like that silver real that I told you about earlier, from the German U-boat sunk. When we opened this video up, I was talking about those. You know, they can be used as payments. The metal that was in this shipwreck, the silver, may have been very well destined ultimately for wartime payments, for weapons, munitions, payment for oil. I believe when I read this earlier, it looked like a lot of these were destined to be struck into silver for economies. They were going to be used as currency. They needed this silver to circulate as specie. It was headed. That's what it was. It was destined to be coin at the time. The Tilawa shipwreck bullion was destined. And I remember reading that. But where? Let's just make sure, because I know I did. Design, sinking. Yeah, I didn't see it here. It wasn't here. But again, I did read it someplace that it was destined to be coin. Let's see. Is it in here? What's this for? This is 1942. I thank you for your letter of the 5th instant. Regret not that the vessels carrying the first consignment, consisting of 2,391 bars of fine silver, has been sunk through enemy action. Oh, goodness. Yeah, that's not the telegram you want to get. In view of the urgency with which this silver is required in the Union, it is most essential that the quantity lost be replaced, and I shall be glad if you will make arrange for equivalent quantity to be supplied as early as possible. Will you kindly let me know that you are able to arrange? Meantime, I am advising my governments by a cablegram of the position. Sincerely, G.H. Baxter. Interesting. Where was I at? Let's go back. I wanted to see if it said, I know it said it somewhere. Destination is silver, some 800,000 ounces of Tilawa. So they've refined 800,000 ounces has been refined into new silver bars and rounds for modern investors and collectors to own. 800,000 ounces. I wonder how much does that leave? Okay, math heads. Hey, nerd. I need some nerds. Come in, nerds. Nerds, do the math for me. I don't have my phone on me, my calculator. I would do it. We got 800,000 ounces here. What is it? 32,150 ounces per ton. Is that right? Can you do the math for me? Do I got to do it? I think there is. Correct me if I'm wrong. Is it 32,150? About. So if we have, I'll just do it myself. 800,000 divided by 32,150. Is that correct? 24.8 tons. So it looks like, how many were there? It was 40 though, I thought, right? Was there 40 tons? 60 tons. So there's another 40 tons of silver they haven't even made stuff out of. So 40 tons is, 36 tons is left to make stuff out of. But all right, my friends, ladies and gentlemen, I appreciate you. Thank you for being part of the. Oh, the dog's barking again. I gotta close the door. Anyways, grab some silver from the Tilawa wreck, my friends, and I'll let you know when mine finally comes in. I'll show it to you. But this is the isolated raid for tonight. Check it out. If you're interested, I put the links in the chat. Again, they don't know I'm here, so don't worry about it. Just the way it is. I don't get it. No, none of these. I can't get a single. I've never had one of these bullion companies respond to me in any way, shape, or form. Like I've reached out. Hey, want to strike my coin? Hey, hey guy, I got a YouTube channel. You want to strike my coin? I don't want much for it. I don't. Like, and they don't email me back. So hey. Maybe I got a bad name. Maybe they look me up like, wait a minute, he's on the red list. He's on the FBI's red list. We cannot deal with him. Rolf Steiner, thanks for the super chat. When Saddam flew his planes into 9/11, that was crazy. That was crazy. Blew my mind when Saddam did that. Saddam. It's insane. Yeah, we'll close with that. You guys look that up. Look up the FBI red list, and apparently there's like 400,000 Americans on the red list, which is this list where if there's an emergency or a crisis or a national incident of some kind or whatever, I don't know, like they declare it, a big freak out. When the state freaks out, there's these 400,000 people they can go instantly arrest, and it's called the red list. I can guarantee you we're all on it. So I'll see you in the bus. I'll see you in the gulag. Thanks for being part of the Junius Maltby Channel. Go get yourself some history. Check it out. Have a good night.